A lion stands at the edge of a waterhole. Across the water, a leopard freezes mid-step. Neither moves. Neither charges. Two of the most efficient killing machines evolution has ever produced. Close enough to reach each other in under 2 seconds, and both choose, instead, to simply walk away. This happens more than almost anyone expects. Not because predators are gentle, because somewhere in their biology, a rule older than any of them has already decided the outcome of a fight neither one can afford to have. Most people imagine the natural world as a constant contest of strength, the biggest, fiercest animal ruling by force, ready to destroy any rival that crosses its path. That image is wrong, and the mistake matters. Apex predators, lions, tigers, wolves, orcas, crocodiles did not earn their position at the top of the food chain by fighting each other into submission. Wildlife biologists studying predator interactions across dozens of ecosystems have found the opposite pattern again and again. Direct, lethal combat between apex predators is rare, tightly avoided, and only occurs under very specific, usually desperate, conditions. The animals we imagine as fearless are, in a very real sense, some of the most conflict-averse creatures in the wild. To understand why, you have to think like a predator's own body. An apex predator's entire existence depends on one uncompromising requirement: a fully functional physical form. A lion with a torn tendon cannot chase prey. A wolf with a broken jaw cannot kill. A crocodile with a damaged limb cannot ambush. In the wild, there are no surgeons, no casts, no recovery wards. An injury that would be minor for a human can be a slow, irreversible death sentence for a predator that depends entirely on its body to eat. This creates a brutal asymmetry that biologists call the cost of injury. In any fight between two apex predators, animals of comparable size, strength, and weaponry, there is no guaranteed winner. Even the victor often walks away with wounds serious enough to compromise its ability to hunt for weeks. And an apex predator that cannot hunt for weeks is an apex predator that starves. Evolution runs the numbers on this constantly, across millions of individual encounters, and the numbers rarely favor the fight. A predator that avoids unnecessary combat survives to hunt another day. A predator that frequently doesn't get a second chance to learn from the mistake. Consider the specific mechanics of what a real fight actually costs. Claws that catch on bone, teeth that shatter against a rival's skull, a single, well-placed bite to a leg or paw that severs tendon rather than flesh. None of these injuries need to be fatal in the moment to be fatal. Eventually, a predator that limps for even 2 or 3 weeks can miss enough meals to tip from healthy to starving, especially if it's also raising young or defending a territory at the same time. Field biologists tracking injured big cats have documented exactly this pattern. The wound itself rarely kills. The weeks of missed hunts that follow it usually do. If fighting is this costly, how do predators resolve conflict at all? The answer is one of the most consistently observed behaviors across predator species: ritualized display instead of real combat. Roars, growls, raised fur, exposed teeth, wide, stiff-legged postures designed to exaggerate size. These are not preludes to violence. In most cases, they are substitutes for it. Researchers studying wolf packs, big cats, and even large marine predators have documented an entire language of intimidation display that allows two animals to essentially simulate a fight without ever making contact. One party postures aggressively. The other assesses the display, calculates the risk, and more often than not backs away. This is sometimes described as an honest signaling system. A genuine roar, a genuine display of size and confidence, carries real information about an animal's fighting ability and condition. Bluffing too often, or bluffing badly, gets tested and tested expensively. So, over evolutionary time, displays tend to stay largely truthful, because animals that lie about their strength eventually get caught in a fight they can't win. The result is a strange kind of peace, built not on trust, but on mutually accurate threat assessment. Watch this economy play out closely, and it starts to look almost choreographed. A wolf approaching a rival pack's territory will often stop well short of contact, raise its hackles, plant its feet wide, and hold a stare, a full-body advertisement of size and readiness that costs nothing but posture. The responding pack does the same. In the overwhelming majority of these standoffs, no one is bitten. Both sides simply update their mental map of where the other's boundary lies, and retreat to fight another day only if the stakes ever justify it. The display isn't a failed attempt at violence. It is, functionally, the entire negotiation's start to finish, resolved without a drop of blood. Long before two predators ever meet face to face, most conflict has already been avoided entirely through scent. Territorial marking, often dismissed as a simple biological habit, functions as one of the most sophisticated conflict avoidance systems in the natural world. A scent mark left along a boundary carries detailed information: species, sex, age, reproductive status, sometimes even recent health or stress levels. For another predator passing through, that mark is not just a warning. It's a message. This space is already claimed by someone capable of defending it. Wildlife researchers tracking large predator territories have found that overlapping species, lions and hyenas, wolves and cougars, tigers and leopards frequently structure their movement patterns specifically to avoid direct encounters, timing their activity to different hours, favoring different paths, adjusting routes based on recent scent evidence left by a rival. This is not cooperation in any sentimental sense. It is calculated avoidance, refined over generations, because the animals that misjudged these signals and blundered into unnecessary confrontations tended not to pass their genes on as successfully as the ones who read the signs and turned around. Some of this signaling has been measured with remarkable precision. Studies tracking tiger movement through camera trap and GPS collar data have shown individuals actively rerouting around freshly scent-marked boundaries left by neighboring tigers, sometimes altering a multi-kilometer patrol path to avoid a stretch of forest marked within the past few days. The information degrades over time. An older mark carries less weight than a fresh one, so predators appear to be running a constant, low-level assessment of not just where a rival has been, but how recently, and how confident that rival currently seems. The avoidance isn't absolute, and the exceptions reveal exactly why the rule exists in the first place. Biologists use the term intra-guild predation to describe the specific circumstances where one predator does kill another. It happens, but almost never as a fair fight between equals. Instead, it happens when the power imbalance is severe enough that the risk calculation flips entirely when a much larger, stronger predator can kill a smaller rival with minimal risk to itself. Lions killing cheetah cubs, wolves killing coyotes that stray too far into contested territory, larger sharks preying on smaller ones. In each case, researchers note the same underlying pattern. It isn't really predator versus predator combat in the dramatic sense most people imagine. It's closer to opportunistic elimination of future competition, carried out specifically when the odds are overwhelmingly one-sided. True, evenly matched confrontations between comparable apex predators remain exceptionally rare, and when they do occur, field researchers who've documented them describe animals that seem almost reluctant, escalating slowly, giving every opportunity for the encounter to end without violence before it does. Even the language researchers use reflects this reluctance. Accounts of rare lion versus hyena clan clashes, for instance, typically describe long minutes of mutual posturing, feints, and retreats before any real contact occurs, and even then, the goal on both sides usually appears to be driving the rival off a carcass or a territory, not killing it outright. Death, when it happens in these encounters, is frequently described by observers as incidental to the goal rather than the goal itself, a byproduct of a contest over resources, not a contest for its own sake. Scale this pattern up, and something remarkable emerges. An entire ecosystem's stability may depend less on domination and more on restraint. Ecologists studying predator communities describe a phenomenon called niche partitioning. Different apex predators in the same region, specializing in different prey, different hunting times, different terrain, specifically to minimize direct competition. Lions favor certain prey and hunting windows. Leopards favor others. Hyenas exploit yet another niche. This division isn't accidental cooperation. It's the accumulated result of thousands of years of animals learning, generation after generation, that competing directly with an equally dangerous rival is far costlier than simply hunting somewhere else. Remove one apex predator from an ecosystem, and researchers often observe a cascading effect, not calm, but chaos. Remaining predators, no longer bound by the careful territorial and behavioral boundaries that kept them apart, begin colliding more frequently, competing more directly, sometimes even shifting their own hunting patterns in destabilizing ways.